Hey everyone, it's Michael V. Moore, and I want to share with you a milestone of mine that I just accomplished. So back around almost towards the end of last year is when I decided to get into fitness coaching, and I had several clients. So as I was working with these clients, I was trying to figure out the best type of apps they could use to keep track of eating. So I was using myself as a guinea pig. And what I decided on was it's this app called Myfitnesspal. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that, but Myfitnesspal is probably, to me, the best app to use if you want to keep track of what you eat. It's very flexible. If you have it on your iPhone or whatever type of smartphone you use, you can actually scan barcodes using MyFitnessPal, which is awesome way to get all the food label information quickly into your phone, and it allows more accurate tracking of your food journals. So as I was trying to work with my clients and come up with a simple app for them to use that they didn't have to pay for, I settled on MyFitnessPal. And as I was experimenting with it, I was keeping track of my own eating habits for a while. And 1 week turned into 2 weeks, turned into 3 weeks, and I actually was working with one of my clients in detail because they had a very, very significant weight loss they wanted to achieve, and I wanted to kind of mirror the person's results. So what happened, ironically, is just my little experimentation turned into 100 days of me logging straight. I had no goals of doing that. It kind of just naturally happened because as my client was seeing results and a couple other clients were seeing results, I kind of wanted to make sure I kept my benchmark for them so they can always look at my statistics to see what I was doing so I can encourage them. And then eventually, I was like on a hardcore. I had a pretty goal of like having a beach body for the summertime, so I decided just to keep going, keep logging. And eventually, as I was logging this on my blog, I actually talked about my first 100 days of whether or not you should or should not do this. And I'm telling you right now, you should not definitely do that. I highly do not recommend anyone record that over 100 days straight of eating. I'll explain in a second. So that 100 days turned into 200 days because I kept going and going and going. And now that 200 days has turned into 300 days as of a couple of days ago. Why is MicVinny logging what he eats for 300 days straight? So that's what this video is pretty much about, is why the heck is this dude doing this? Okay, so first off, I want to say that I highly, 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 highly do not recommend anybody out there to record what they eat for 300 days straight. The reason I'm pretty much going, or I have consecutively kept going on my journey, is I just want to reach 365. I'm curious what a full year's worth of tracking would look like in MyFitnessPal, as well as with my own health. So this is like kind of my own experiment with myself. And the reason I tell people not to do this because I'm living through it, and I'm going to kind of tell you kind of what I've been experiencing as I've been doing this. So the biggest reason you would want to even log what you eat is just so you can get an idea of your calories. So the first couple of days you do that, it's useful. It is very useful. It allows you to figure out where your calories are coming from. If you hit these exact calories, am I losing weight or am I gaining weight? So it's very, very easy to see that at the very beginning. But what starts to happen over time is the more you log, it doesn't have as significant impact in your life. It becomes a job. It becomes a chore. It's not fun. I'm not really competing for a bodybuilding contest or anything like that. So there's no real big end game in mind. It was just a matter of me maybe losing a couple pounds and just seeing how my weight drifted up and down, along with a couple of my clients. So that's why I would probably not recommend a person go more than a week or so just to get an idea of what their eating habits are, and then take a little bit of break Because if you start to rely on logging what you eat all the time, you're going to potentially develop a condition. So I've seen it several times, and even through my journey, when I said I stopped caring, it's like you go through these extremes. Like one minute you're really, really detailed about what you eat, and you start, second guessing, oh, I can't eat that because that'll put me 200 calories over for the day. And that's not what you want when you're in a fat loss phase, or just when you're trying to be healthy in general. It's not healthy to obsess over numbers. You want to get to a point where you just use this journaling method of tracking your food and your calories for a little bit, just so you can pretty much eyeball it and get a good idea of, okay, this is how much I should be eating on a daily basis. So so you can enjoy life. You don't have to be systematic about every little detail of it. For those who are, bodybuilders are actually, competing in competitions, I get why they keep specific numbers, but it drives you crazy after a while. You don't have to go to that extreme. And 300 days is very extreme, and I would not recommend anyone go that long in recording what they eat. And so as you are, recording what you eat, you don't really know if the numbers are accurate or not as well. So that's another drawback with as good as these apps are, there's still slight differences. And some people don't know how to handle that. Some people take it as the Bible and word for word, everything goes. So whatever app you choose, if it's Myfitnesspal or one other type of calorie tracker, those things are not 100% accurate. And a lot of people think they are, but they're not. So even as I'm journaling, I know there's at least a 200 to 300 calorie difference in what I'm recording versus the reality of what I've been eating. So for a lot of people, that's why I don't think that it's a great tool to continuously use, because the number is not always accurate. And that's okay, because remember, you're just getting a baseline anyways. That's the only reason you use this tool, is just to get a baseline and get a good idea. So okay, if I haven't lost weight in like 3 weeks, I might just need to slightly take a little bit of, my rice away, or, have one less helping of, of a portion of meat or something like that. Just keep it simple, small things. You don't have to blow up your complete eating plan just because your app isn't saying the correct numbers and you're not losing weight in a timely manner. So, okay, so that's why I wanted to kind of talk about my 300 days, is because it's been interesting, where it has gone on so long that it's kind of second nature for me to do it. And by it being second nature, even on days when I'm not eating how I know I should be I'm still good enough where I log where I try to estimate what I've been eating. And when you're not in the zone, what I consider in the zone, when you're not healthy zone, and you've gone away from the sweets for a while, and you just eating the fruits, vegetables, the lean protein sources, and it's okay with you, and you don't have the desire or the cravings for all that extra sweet stuff, or the stuff you shouldn't be eating, because you're in the zone, you're working out, you're okay, you're maintaining, losing weight, gaining weight, whatever, it's all good, but you're in that zone. When you're not in that zone, it sucks to kind of record what you eat, because you realize that, oh man, I shouldn't be eating this. But you've been doing it for so long, it doesn't have the same impact as it should have. And that's one of the biggest things I've noticed as I've done this for a lengthy period of time, is you just keep going between extremes. It's like, oh man, I know I shouldn't eat this, but I am. Then you go and do this depression cycle. And then you go to Mr. Super Clean cycle, and you're trying to eat super healthy to make up for it. No one should ever do that. Life is meant to be enjoyed. If you're not enjoying your life, it doesn't matter how you're going to look once you lose all that weight. You still got to enjoy your life. And you don't need to make yourself miserable while doing it. So just use these calorie trackers just for a little bit. Take time off. Get used to actually knowing your portion sizes, and then come back to that when you're not seeing the results you want to see. Then I would say, okay, let's check a couple more days, track what you're eating, make some adjustments, then go away from it. But you don't have to continuously log every single day. It's not that extreme, unless you're doing this for a living. Which even though a lot of people think that they're more athletic than they really are, or they got to follow hardcore rules just to look like that bodybuilder or something like that. It's like, no, you don't have to go to that extreme. You can have the same life and still get in excellent shape. So take it from someone who's been logging for 300 days straight. I got 65 more days to go, and after that, I will be taking my advice and taking breaks, and not necessarily going so strict with recording, because I could not imagine going past 365 consistently. And yeah, it's funny because once you've been doing it for so long, it's a natural habit. You just keep going and going and going. But I don't foresee me going past 365. I hope Myfitnesspal like throws me some type of celebration type email and say, "Hey, congratulations, you made it for a full year." But if all they do is say, "Hey, you did 365 days in a row, good job," be a little disappointed. But yeah, so that's all I want to talk about, was basically keeping track of your calories, using these calorie counters, and why you don't have to go to the extreme like I'm currently going through with 300 days with my goal of 1 year. So if you actually want to know a little bit more about my journey, check out my blog, MicVinny.com, and look up for my 100 days of calorie tracking, what 100 days of calorie tracking taught me, and what 200 days of calorie tracking taught me. And once I get to 365, I'll probably do another one for what 1 full year of calorie tracking taught me. So have a great day. MicVinny out.